session, we will address a very important question. Where should one develop in Indonesia? And as the moderator for this session, we have Pak Satria Wei, Managing Partner, Indonesia Hotelivate. Pak Satria is a hotel opening and managing expert with more than 30 years of experience, complemented by significant hotel operations and corporate experience. Joining him on stage are Mr. Widarmana, Vice President Hotel Development, Asia Pacific, excluding China, Marriott International; Ms. Ariizumi, Vice President Development, Southeast Asia, Hilton; Mr. Rio Kondo, Vice President Development, Indonesia and Malaysia, Accor; and Mr. Steve Tjen, Director of Development, Indonesia, Radisson Hotel Group. Please give them a round of applause.
Very good morning, everyone. It's an honor to have you here this morning. It's nearly full, and this is not the common panelist that I used to bring because I was feeling that this is too big. They are the big guns that we bring and collecting today, and we are very lucky. We are honored to have everyone here. Steve, Rio, Maria from Hilton, and also Ivan from Marriott. Before we would like to get an insight from them of which part of Indonesia that is still interested to be invested, I would like to share some numbers, some information that I am collecting from the Indonesian Statistic Bureau. Actually, I'm quite worried when I heard Jasper show the numbers this morning. I'm afraid that the numbers will be huge different from what I collected, but it is confirming of the single digits of movement, of the single digit of growth, and also the single digit of prediction that we might face and see in the next a year or two. In terms of the foreign tourism growth in Indonesia, actually these numbers have been published by the Statistic Bureau on the 1st of August 2025. And it shows that the numbers of foreign tourists that coming through Indonesia is slightly increased. It's not as a big prediction that we wish and we predict in 2024, but it's there. The increment is there. And we also see the growth of a few foreigners from Southeast Asia itself, especially Malaysia and Singapore. Meanwhile, the biggest chunk that we have for our tourism industry in Indonesia is still the domestic tourists. And we also see that the domestic tourists until the end of July actually is also increasing compared to last year. So this is something that we can be happy with because what we have been experienced on January until May 2025 actually is not as smooth as what we are expected at the beginning. So it's still increasing about 3.25% compared to last year. Meanwhile, the occupancy in Indonesia that collecting until June 2025, if we are comparing June and May, actually we are still increasing about 1.7, but in year-to-date comparing to last year is decreasing 4.71%. This data actually the statistic is also collecting not only from the association, but they also learning to get out of the SDR that provided by Jasper and his team. If we see that there is three provinces that with the most highest occupancy in Indonesia, which is Bali is still there. mid of Java, Yogyakarta is also still there, and also Jakarta. We also seen that there is 3 provinces with the very, very low occupancy in Indonesia. One is Bangka Belitung, Aceh, dan Papua Pegunungan. That's the lowest occupancy in Indonesia. This is some of the occupancy that we are comparing the 2024, June 2024, the darkest one, and then the middle one is May 2025, and the red one is 2025 in June. This is the details of each province. Actually, as mentioned earlier on the previous slide, that Jakarta, Yogyakarta, and Bali is still quite sexy compared to the rest of the Indonesia province. But we also see the growth in some of the province, like Sulawesi Barat is also growing, and Sulawesi Selatan is also growing. Nusa Tenggara Barat is also growing, and we also see the growth in Lombok that is now shaking everybody. It is there. But I believe we need to have the confirmation, we need to have more insight that we can collecting from our colleague panelists this morning. So allow me to ask a few questions to all the panelists about what is going to be happening in Indonesia. Disregard the political issue that we face. Based on the current market that we have in Indonesia, actually, we since, if you are talking Jakarta and Bali, I think is there already. Which other part of the Indonesia that, in your point of view, is going to be one of the hot area to invest, especially to consider especially as a new owners, because those are always the first question from the first owners to come up with before they put even 1 penny inside. Probably Pak Rio can start with that.
Can you hear me? Okay. Yes, good morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting me here, Pak Satria and Manaf. Yes, it's an honor to be here today. Yeah, basically right now, I think to answer your question, depending on what market segment you're talking about, because Indonesia is actually most of the opportunity are in the mid-scale, I would say economy mid-scale, whereby premium is slowly getting there. In some areas of Indonesia, premiums are like secondary, tertiary cities of Indonesia. So, and then the other thing is also depending on what you're talking about, either city or resort, right? So I mean, I think city opportunity is abound in Indonesia. I mean, you just have to look at the secondary, tertiary cities in Indonesia. I think there's still opportunities there. Java is definitely, for us, is like a big market. We still have a lot of pockets in Java where we're looking at especially in the economy mid-scale. And to a certain extent, premium. We just opened, for example, one hotel in Berau in eastern Kalimantan, which is a Mercure. So you see a lot of these different pockets. You just have, to make sure that you know that you can perform, you can, bring the return on investment to the owners. So if you ask me to highlight, I mean, and then of course you have the resort part. I mean, the resort part is a little bit more, I think, almost a given. I mean, you're only talking about Bali, Labuan Bajo, Lombok, basically those places, and maybe Jogja to a certain extent. So other than that, I think Java is still very much quite a lot of opportunities, in my opinion. And then you have maybe Lombok, places like that, even in the city. And then Sumatra is definitely, and you know, in big cities of Sumatra, we still have some pockets. So yeah, I mean, depending on which segment you're talking about.
But Ifan, what do you think, especially on the premium segment? Because
Thank you, Pak. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, as from Marriott, actually, we still think about two sides. It's from the operator side and from the owner side. At the moment, actually, for the operator side, we want to develop Indonesia, especially like you said, it's premium brand. For example, like we don't have a presence in Semarang, for example, and then it's a few city we don't have it. Then that's what we focus on, like Sumatra, like Pekanbaru, Padang, we don't have it. But if we see based on the owner leads, right? So they still think about the Bali and Bali. That's what I can say because I signed a few deals this year. Actually, it's year to date, and all of the signing in Bali is 3 luxury, 2 premium. So I think it's based on that. Owners still think about Bali. And also the other leads is whatever is a high demand now is Batam. I don't know what happened with Batam, but like we have like 9 hotels. If let's say it's all under construction, then can be open like a 2 or 3 years time, which is quite suddenly is quite high demand. Yeah, again, it's I mean, it's like it's the owners still think about infrastructure, accessibility, nature of destination, and the culture as well. I think that's from.
yeah, we all aware that that our government actually have been planning a lot of destinations. They've been put a lot of investment on the infrastructures, but most of the investors now see that there is none of the concrete plan that have been laid. Originally we have 20 destinations to develop. The plan was laid about 10 years ago, and then 5 years ago there is a 5 priority destination that our government is focused on, and then suddenly this year is gone. Ooh. So this is blindly our investors to make a decision. Maria, would you care to share us what is actually the investor think and consider on a positive way how and where and how they're planning to invest in a certain destination currently, especially in Indonesia.
Sure. And good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah, so first, starting with whether you're talking about a foreign investor or a domestic investor, I think there's a pretty big difference, black and white, in what you would be interested in. If you're a foreign investor looking at a moderately shorter term investment window where you don't want to be in there for life, it's not a family project, you're not embedded in a certain region geographically with your business, then you want something that you know has a clean line of exit that's not going to be 20, 30, 40 years down the road. When you look at that, then Bali is really your only go-to. And in the context of Bali, there's a lot of opportunity for conversions where you have a lot of good quality, independent, unbranded hotels that are probably performing a bit below where they could be performing with their product. And that's a lot of low-hanging fruit for foreign investors to come in. I think that's a very straightforward story in that realm. But then you go outside of Bali and that foreign investor outlook is quite limited. And then you're looking at the local domestic investors. And for there you say, okay, well, where is the infrastructure going? And again, unless your business is embedded in a certain geographic region, you're looking across and seeing where you see the opportunity. I think from what we're seeing and what we hear from going across the industry, there's the story of what the government or the local governments want to do, and there's the ones that have actually materialized something in a way that seems reassuring that something will continue to happen. Like lesser known internationally destinations like Makassar, for example, has probably seen fairly tangible progress in infrastructure. Maybe in terms of like leisure segment, there's not as much, but from a business segment, it has a lot of opportunity, and there's not that much international supply, let's say, compared to what it could have. So I think that's where supply versus demand, we see some opportunity for investors to take advantage of. Now, that's not going to be in the luxury space. It may not even be in the lifestyle space, but it could be somewhere in that upscale to upper upscale space where you do something that's functional, you do something that will make money as an investor, and it also meets the demand of people coming into the market. So there's a few of those that are coming up, maybe more in that mix of business and leisure destinations, not purely leisure destinations, because I think we haven't seen that infrastructure really developing materially outside of Bali. And that's probably where our focus is, in that kind of 4-star to entry-level 5-star space, going into those pockets where there's been more infrastructural developments that we've tangibly seen.
Steve, what do you think? Because on the past few years you've been working to the ground, especially on the second and the third tier city. Can you add something on it?
Yes, I think if you talk about industrial developments in Indonesia and especially infrastructure, we had the 50 new Balis as program, and we only kind of see Lombok and Labuan Bajo reaping the benefits out of that. Labuan Bajo having the infrastructure with the new airport, Lombok with the new toll road, and then Kuta that has been developed in the south. But other than those two locations, we haven't seen the big major investments in infrastructure to accommodate larger number of guests towards a destination. So I think, yeah, it's like what Maria said, is a difference between what a government wants and what it's trying to achieve on the short term. So I think we should, look at the long term, and I think industry in Indonesia has actually been one of those industries that have been pretty stable or pretty thriving the last 2-3 years. You see industrial estates being developed in Batam, in Karawang, Subang, and we think on the long term there will be a demand there for business travelers. We're having a project in Tangerang, in Cikupa, that we're opening next year with a lot of industrial estates, not many hotels out there, so it creates an upside for the owner to develop it there, and for guests because they have no other options, and still they need a reason to travel. So infrastructure is needed, but it's in progress from what we see.
Yes. Yeah, that's one of the difficulties in Indonesia. Actually, we see a lot of opportunities throughout Indonesia. But the problem is that not every area actually grows on the same pace. So it's a bit difficult for us, especially the new investors that they would like to grow in a certain destination. I would like to ask to Rio, because you know that Rio used to do the numbers for so many years, and especially in Indonesia, Rio, especially in a second tier city, what is actually the business kind of products that is still there, that we still can recommend to the investor to see, not making a decision directly to invest, but to see and to think that this is a kind of product that is still in the market.
Okay. Actually, I thought you gave me the list of questions a couple of days ago, and then last night actually I thought about this session, and this particular question, and then I saw Jesper's presentation this morning. I've been watching this market for the past 15, 20 years. I've been here immersed in it, and I think what's going to happen, or what's already happening right now, is you will see a different sort of like owner profiles. Simply because, you know, like if you build a hotel 10, 15 years ago, it's an easy decision to build a hotel. I mean, a hotel will make money if you, as long as you have the right location, the right product, maybe the right brand, even without a brand. But as you see from Jesper's presentation, we're getting squeezed, right? I mean, construction cost is getting higher, expenses to run hotels are getting higher, ADRs are not moving up. Therefore, it's getting squeezed. So I think the owner profile that will survive this next 5 to 10 years will be people who really want to do hotels, really like to do hotels, because the ones that think that's going to be, I face a lot of owners who says like, okay, what's going to be the return, the ROI for a hotel? Can I get it for 5 years, 6 years? That's not going to happen anymore, right? It's gonna that's in the past. So I think the one that's going to be really in the industry, and the industry is going to thrive, because Indonesia is 280 million people. It's going to thrive. It's just the players' profile. The players might change. So to answer your question, it depends, because as Maria mentioned, I think you know, like if you go into the secondary, tertiary cities, mostly are local players. I mean, the people there, because they have their own vision about their own city, their own region, etc. So like I gave an example about the Mercure in Barao that we opened. I mean, it took us about 5 years to build that thing because of the pandemic, etc. But the guys, the family is a very proud family from Barao. They're one of the richest family in Barao, and they're very proud. And it came out very, very nice. So you will see a lot of that happening around Indonesia going into the future. So it depends on, the vision will be a little bit different than let's say 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Can I also add on?
Yes, please.
I think just looking across Southeast Asia, as Pak Rio said, there's a cycle that we've gone through where there's a lot of optimism and maybe naivete about what were the possibilities, and then you realize, you first say you'll build it and they will come, and to an extent it was true, but then you realize that there really has to be some buildup of a destination to really help you kind of preserve the value of what you've built over time. And in a lot of markets in Indonesia, it hasn't happened. And across Southeast Asia, in a lot of places, it also hasn't happened. And what we see more recently in the last, let's say, 5 years, is rather than taking a more passive build it and they will come mentality, there's a let us take over this process and let us build the destination, because it's not happening through any other means. And so whether it's Vietnam or it's Philippines or it's even Thailand, we see a lot more bigger developers not just building hotels, but actually privatizing airports, taking over access, infrastructural projects. We also see a lot of mixed-use developments and entertainment complexes being built by these developers, where they're trying to induce demand by creating facilities and complexes outside of the individual hotel, because they're realizing that they built the hotel and the destination is not building on its own. So to the extent that Indonesia, in the pockets that it does make sense, you see these players doing a bit more of that. That's something that will be very much in line with what we see happening in the rest of the region.
Yeah. Yeah, I still believe actually 30 years ago when Adrian Seka told me, if you build a property, you have to build the destination. But Ivan, do you think it's still valid?
Yeah, I think it's in terms of that is still valid, because destination is important. But I think sometimes we also cannot underestimate what we can do in our secondary city. Because I just opened, actually, it's Marriott Lampung, which is quite underestimate in the beginning, which is the rate can be lower. I don't think they can sell it, but they're doing very well. The rate is very high. The rate is higher than Batam. The rate is higher than Jakarta, the ADR, even though we just opened a year ago. But I think we are quite surprised to see the secondary tiers, they can build the premium, which is the high grade. So I think it's back to the infrastructure again. It's like destination infrastructure. Yes, sometimes the infrastructure there, but no accessibility. There's also a key point. For example, like we try to make it Labuan Bajo as the second Bali, but there's no flight. We just opened luxury collection there with the high rate, but again, it's the only from international, only AirAsia or Scoot now. They reduced the flight time also from Singapore. So this is something is, yes, infrastructure is important, but accessibility is more important as well. We had Belitung, for example. Belitung is very close from Jakarta. It's a very nice location. Good infrastructure, I think. Airport is nice, but again, it's the accessibility. There's no flight going there, so this become problem as well. So I think there's a few things now is become challenging, but again, it's chicken and egg. There's something is there's never right. If there's no hotel, we don't know how to make a destination. But if there's hotel, maybe there's can be destination can be happen also.
Yeah. And we also seen that throughout the pandemics period, and also even this year in January until May, we seen how the property that managed by proper operator and managed by individuals, they have a huge difference of the performance. I also believe that if we invest a lot of money and it should be managed properly by somebody who know exactly how to do that. How this operator can survive, especially during this difficult period. Steve, what do you think about how Radisson has been doing for that?
Yes. I think in line what has been said earlier on, we try to create tailored solutions to owners. I think the times has been passed that you give the brand book and you let the owners choose the brand and fulfill the brand standards. I think it's much more advanced now, where each location or each brand could have a different appeal per region. So we try to be very hands-on, and that's usually our approach of having a personal relationship with the owner, trying to assist them from A to Z, and especially for those first entrant owners that are new to the business. They're very passionate, a lot of ideas, sometimes too many ideas, that creates confusion. So we try to simplify things for them. Actually, that's a big part of the job from my perspective, and we try to, based on the needs from this particular project and owner, we try to do that through feasibility studies, through case studies, data, creating options also for the owner. I think it's good so he see the difference and what are the benefits and disadvantages. So that personal approach instead of standardizing everything, I think is the benefit that we can do as an operator in this country, not being the loudest or the biggest, but having that flexibility to maneuver and go the extra mile for an owner to get his attention and get his commitment to us as well. So we like to do that in return as well. So
I see. Rio, what do you think about to continue what Steve has been mentioning, what is the contribution of the distribution channel itself?
I think if somebody asks me, what do we actually, selling, right? What are we providing services? Basically, we're brand owners, right? We own the brands. We actually nurture the brand since its inception to maturity. And then now, we basically have the brand that we can offer. Secondly, the expertise in the management. And then the third is actually the distribution. I think the distribution is sometimes undervalued or under explained. I mean, sometimes you don't focus on it enough. But I think all the Marriotts of the world, Hilton of the world, that's what we do. We create destination. You mentioned earlier that there is a disparity between the performance of, let's say, independent hotels, local brands, etc. I think that's where it's lacking, or that's where what we have the big players have, which is not an easy thing to replicate, right? So yeah, I think at the end of the day, you have to get the right product, and then the right market, the right location, and then you have the distribution to. A lot of people actually ask me, a lot of owners ask me, like sometime when we open a hotel, I think the same with Marriott, the same with Hilton, Radisson, and IHG. I mean, like when we open a hotel, it's not, you don't open a hotel, just open a hotel, you plan it, right? I mean, 3 months ahead of time, you start distributing. That's why actually the opening of a hotel is such an important thing, right? I mean, you can't keep delaying it or moving it around because you already been selling for the past 3 months. And this is something a lot of owners can't, understand because it's a very important thing. And in Indonesia, I think that's quite a big of challenge.
Yeah, I've experienced that myself, Rio. So we are, as an owner, normally we were thinking that, look, let's make the product 100% ready, or sometimes let's make the product half ready to be sold. But sometimes they forgot that the timing of selling, the timing of opening is quite important. For the operators, there are always difficulties when they are selling the product earlier or even late because of the timing of the opening. Then is jeopardizing all the plan, not only the plan for the opening, but also for the rest of the life of the property itself. Dear colleagues, if you have any question, you are also feel free to just type on the application that provided by the committee. So we will be happy to assist if you have any. Okay, the next question that I'm quite interested to ask is about: is there any important information and consideration for future owners or investors should know before they invest? Of course, some of you have been mentioning that, look, just make sure when you are investing the hotel, you have enough fund, you have enough time, you have enough resources to consider. because when you build and then we only have a half bullet, then the product is not going to be there. Pak Ivan, can you help us to elaborate that?
Yeah, I think the first thing, usually we ask what the expectation from the owner. Sometimes if the owner, we need to explain to the owner to invest the hotel is not cheap. That's the first thing. Is like Pak Rio said, return on investment is long, can be 15 years, 20 years. So we need to understand what actually the owner expectation first. So when we know the owner expectation, so at least we can try to guide them whether this is a valid expectation or this is too much expectation, or how we can try to make it is a win-win solution for the owner and also for the operator as well. So I think it's the most important. We need to be honest in front, because especially when you already have many hotels in Indonesia, you can see the data, you can see the numbers, figures. Because like us, Marriott, we never share any projection to owner. We don't want to induce owner with the projection to make them investment, but we more to reliable with our data and our credibility in Indonesia.
Can I add to that?
Please.
Okay. So
Please,
I think what Ivan just said is struck a note with me, because a lot of the time, I have a background in feasibility. I was with Horwath for 15 years, as Pak Satria mentioned. So sometimes, when I go to a market, I can, because of that background, there are some cases or projects that's a no-brainer. But and if the owner wants to build a hotel there, as long as the product is right, the positioning is right, the location is correct, then it's fine. But when I can't, it's not a no-brainer for me, then I normally, actually this is something that, coming from the background, I mean, I may be biased, but I think a feasibility study is underrated in Indonesia. I think a feasibility study sometime is needed. I'm not saying on every single cases, but there are certain difficult cases, there are certain difficult location, difficult market. As Maria also mentioned, maybe it's not fully developed in terms of a destination. You really need somebody, a third party, an unbiased, objective third party that can actually tell you, because we are not in the position to tell the owner these things, the project owner. So sometimes third party will help.
And I think this is the unique nature of Indonesia and some neighboring markets, that a lot of the hotel developers are actually not real estate developers. They are in other businesses. And so when we look at a hotel opportunity, we see the ceiling, say, of a certain site, a certain location, market, and we know that a rate can't go above like X number. And so for that, you do the calculations and you can't invest more than X amount and make any money out of it. And so I think from a feasibility perspective, we try to do right to the person who is investing and say, look, you should probably invest at this level with this kind of brand, because that is what makes sense. And I think for that long term and for that relationship between the operator and the owner, for that to take adequate weight in the conversation is, I think, really helpful. A lot of people have a lot of passions when it comes to investing, and they want the best brand, the best product. And I think we've all been in that situation where it's a bit of a competition somehow of who can offer the best brand. But at the end of the day, if we're level-headed about it and we take a step back from what brand sounds the best, there actually is that very logical level of what you should build up to. And for us to have that partnership and that collaboration of kind of equal voices to say, this is what makes sense, let's go with this level, and look at that level and see what the options are at that position, is, I think, the best way to build a sustainable environment for hotels going forward.
Yeah, I cannot agree more with that, because normally when we are building our hotels, we as the owner is normally we only think that this is the hotel that I like, not the hotel that the demand like. Thank you, Pa Rio and Maria. So we have a few questions that we need to help with. The first one is that what is the biggest challenge when developing hotel out of Bali and Jakarta? Steve just mentioned also before that one of the difficulties, the challenge, not the difficulties, it's a challenge, is infrastructures. What else, Pa?
I think it has a lot to do with the owner profile in Indonesia. It's most, if not all, it's not their first business. It's usually the business has been thriving, and to diversify, they have been entering into hotels. So it's often related to passion, prestige, to entertain their business clients, family members. So it's a lot of passion. But we as operators, we cannot drag ourselves within just passion, right? We have to stick to the ground and stick to the numbers and the data. So in terms of challenge, those type of owners often have a very transactional mindset because of the nature of their business they are in, whether it's exporting, mining, very transactional. And hotel business is kind of the opposite. It's a long investment, it's a long lead time towards when the property is opening. So to convince an owner, hey, your ROI is maybe 15 years, in their mind, hey, in my own business it used to be 2 or 3 months. So that's a story that you really have to educate them in that sense, especially for those new entrant owners. Yeah. And that's a challenging but exciting process in itself as well, you know. So
yeah, that's one of the challenges. Yes. Okay, to speed up our question because we have more. The second question is what advice would you give to someone looking to develop a first hotel in Indonesia? Pa Ivan probably can assist me with that.
Yeah, I think it's like I mentioned, we need to be honest, especially for the first-time owner. We need to really close, because I always believe the build relationship from the beginning is very important. Whenever you go, when the owner is trying to build the hotel, they will back to development. Whenever they already open, operation is doing well, everything, they always come back to development. So I think honest relationship from the beginning is very important. So yeah, I think Okay.
Rio, don't leave me.
Yeah, it's back that it's an honest relationship based on the data. Mostly you need to let them know the investment costs because sometimes, especially our owner, they don't know what the investment costs and they think it's oh, this is easy, right? But at the end, sometimes they're asking why it can be so expensive. So you need to let them know, educate them, explain very well. So they need to be ready to take that action. And like Pario said, it's better they appointed the feasibility study, especially if they really want to know how good their investment, especially in the new destination. That's also important for them before they make a big investment.
Yeah, we don't want to repeat what happened with the situation in 2012 and 2014 when it's very easy to get some fund even from the bank and other investors to build the hotels. There is a lot of new owners. They think that building a hotel is just like opening their shop in the market. Thank you, Pak Ivan. Maria, what do you think that the lifestyle hotel is going to be more prospectable in Indonesia in the future?
Yeah. Well, actually, to add on to the last question, one thing that we would also say is definitely if it's your first project, having a strong team to deliver that project it becomes kind of a technical topic, but is absolutely critical to hire the right consultants, the right project manager. Building a hotel is like running an amazing orchestra. Everything has to be in sync. Everything has to be running in parallel and driving in the same direction. And if you have a very weak project management team, it often gets stuck. It takes a lot longer to develop, and the quality is compromised. So I think we can't understate, the best developers of hotels are the ones that have great teams, great people appointed to drive these projects. So would not understate the value of that. But on the question of lifestyle hotels, Indonesia is definitely underserved in the lifestyle space. And that's not necessarily because there's a lack of appreciation, especially with the younger generation, because you go to places like Jakarta, Bali, you see all these trendy, restaurants and bars, and so there's that appetite for it. But I suppose it depends on which segment. So, my answer today would be if you go into that upscale, maybe upper mid-scale space, there's definitely that potential to, at a cost-appropriate level, invest into very cool designs and programming. When you go into the premium space, I think you have to also make sure that you have inbound business that is strong enough to support that hotel, because at the moment, a lot of that premium business is outside of Bali going to be driven by domestic travel, and those travelers are still a bit different from the demographic that appreciates lifestyle. So that would be the consideration, right? So down the road, if you see that your market is able to drive inbound business of a segment that can play at that premium lifestyle level, then absolutely, I think the market is ready. But if not, maybe stick to the lower levels for now, is my thought.
I'll try to cover all of the questions, but unfortunately, we might choose a few of them. There is one issue that Bali have now, which is the moratorium issue of new hotels in Bali is in place right now, but I believe it's not in all area in Bali. Concerning about the oversupply, the over-tourism, the unsustainable tourism that happening in Bali. What do you think with that issue? Is this the issues that we need to support with, because we need also more hotels to operate in Bali, right? What do you think, Pak Steve?
I think Bali it's booming, right? As been mentioning, a lot of projects building up in Bali, and the key for me towards Bali from a both consumer perspective is accessibility, right? Especially from a domestic traveler, you're coming to Bali for the weekend, you don't want to be stuck in traffic for 2 or 3 hours, which it happens more often than not, actually. So, so we see a big need for that improved infrastructure in Bali to fight against that overbuild. But at the same time, Bali is big enough. So, you see the trend from Kuta in the 90s is going all the way up to the north now, and south and east, So, yeah, Bali is luck. We're blessed to have with Bali for the size, for the culture, and it's very rich in that sense. So we don't see, there's no indication from our side that there will be any stop in development in Bali. So if you're hoping for that, I think you're missed the train,
But what about the effect that the government plans to build our new airport in the north? What do you think the development can be done on the north of Bali?
Yes, I think it's a good thing. It's been in the planning for quite a while.
Yeah.
And people got really excited in the first time it was announced. I think second time it was like less excited. Hopefully this will happen this time.
Yes.
But I think the airport itself is not going to be enough. I think there's also needs to be connectivity with the rest, the other parts of the island, right? I mean, you can't just build a hotel and then expect maybe that area will thrive, but then again, one of the biggest reasons why you want to do an airport in the north is because you want to make sure that slowly, it spreads out throughout the island. There is a good thing and a bad thing about it, right? One is like, again, the over-tourism, so, do you really want to go there, or you want, because at the same time that you're saying that it's over-tourism, you're also building an extra infrastructure. So
Exactly.
sometimes it's a catch-22 situation. I think we, sorry, we didn't talk too much about government role in this panel, but I think one of the things that we should really, the government should really look into is their role in actual, like the destination development, and making sure that the destination is ready, and making sure that the destination is not overbuilt, etc. I'm a developer, so it's hard for me to say things like this, but that's a fact, that's a reality, right? I mean, you have to be careful. I mean, we are trying to be careful.
Yes. Yeah. The last question probably that we can answer this time is that this is the question for all of the panelists. What is your company growth in the next year in terms of new brands that you might think is going to be developed in the next year or two, probably, and I believe it's not only for Indonesia but Southeast Asia, to cater the needs of the demand, and also of the demands is meaning the owner, the investors, and also the demand of the customer itself, because we understand that the wellness kind of properties, the lifestyle kind of properties is growing now, and we believe that each of your companies is preparing something. Can you share it to us a little bit? And the last one actually is that we would like to know what is the uniqueness that you are preparing from each of your companies to us as an investors. Probably we can come from Steve.
So Radisson Hotel Group has 10 distinctive brands, out of which 7 we are proactively seek to develop in this region. So currently we're exposed in Indonesia with Radisson and Radisson Blu. As Radisson as our fastest growing brand, Radisson Blu, our most exposed brand, is the largest upper upscale brand in Europe. So by next year we will introduce Radisson Collection to Bali. It's a very exciting project in Ubud that will hopefully open by next year. And yeah, hopefully touching lifestyle, I think there is actually a big demand for lifestyle, looking at the F&B offering, and all the hotels traditionally very focused on MICE and government And now you see when MICE is falling down, F&B and everything, and all the hotels are looking, where are the lifestyle hotels? And I think the few that we have in Jakarta are doing very well. So I think that's a good indication that actually there is a market for it and the market can absorb it. So yeah, we're very excited about the Radisson Collection as, you know, a new brand, but Radisson Red is our lifestyle brand, and we would love to introduce that in Java, in Jakarta, and in Java, tier 1 cities mostly.
Maria.
Yeah, I would probably agree with what's just been said. Lifestyle is definitely underserved for us
Yeah.
in Indonesia. It doesn't work everywhere, as we just discussed earlier, but that's where we see the opportunity to tap into a segment that has the demand. So starting with the first tier markets like Bali and Jakarta, entering with our Canopy brand, which is our kind of Hilton level lifestyle brand. Those markets can definitely deliver, has the demand. Generally, Canopy runs at a premium to what our flagship Hilton brand would, so we see upside opportunity for owners there. And then just one step below that, we have our brand Tempo, which we are launching into region this year, and I think that's one where, again, there's a lot more runway. A lot of the growing middle class in Indonesia can definitely appreciate that design-focused element, and it has runway past Jakarta and Bali, most importantly. So we see this as a huge growth vehicle that we hope to be able to kind of build that relationship with owners in the coming year.
Yeah, I think it's for us. Sometimes we need to see because we have a challenge also for to register the trademark in Indonesia. So it's something we need to consider that maybe we can launch only 2 or 3 brands within 12 or 24 months. But now it's Indonesia. Is to register the trademark also is not easy.
Yeah.
So this become a challenge. Yes, of course, lifestyle is important. And what your next question is, what we can offer to the owner actually is beside distribution is actually is I mean, like the relationship is more important for the between owner and operation.
Yeah.
So now is the key is not only development, but the operation team is need to support is very strong, and also not less important is the strong GM is very support. So Marriott, for me actually I'm success in Indonesia if until so far is support by the GM. That's all.
Mario. Thank you.
Coming from a fairly big base, I mean, we have 140 hotels already open in Indonesia. So, I mean, our growth obviously is not going to be as fast because we need to be selective. But with definitely lifestyle will be the brands that because we currently have you know, PME, what we call PME, premium mid-scale economy, and then lifestyle and Lux. I have my colleague from Lux here as well today, and the basically as far as uniqueness is concerned, I think I have to say it's our presence, right? We have a fairly dominant presence in most of the region in Indonesia. So we've been here for 35 years, and so with 140 hotels, so we you know, we can use that network. I think that would be a bit unique, perhaps. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, distinguished guests, unfortunately we cannot answer all the questions, but feel free to fetch up. Please feel free also to catch all the panelists outside or on the floor. Thank you very much, Mario, from Accor. Thank you very much, Pak Ivan, from Marriott. Maria, thank you so much for your presence from Hilton, and also Mr. Steve. Thank you very much. This is the new Radisson. Thank you, and have a good afternoon, and hope that you can enjoy the rest of the day.